Once upon a time, there was an old couple who owned a farm. The ground was hard and the winters were cold, and no matter how hard they worked, they never had much to eat. The couple decided to have a son, so that he could work the fields for them. The wife got pregnant, and during her pregnancy, she ate lots of coconuts. Coconuts are hard and hairy. So she thought that they would help her have a big, strong boy. The coconuts were expensive, though, and they didn't have much money for other food. She got so hungry that started eating one of the plants in the garden, a plant called Rapunzel. She hated the bitter taste of it, but she told herself that it would all be worth it when they had a big strong hairy boy. But when the woman gave birth, what came out was not what she'd hoped for. It was a beautiful girl with blonde hair. And this was no normal hair, it was 20 meters long and shone like the sun. Or a fresh banana. The woman was so angry that she shouted, "Take the child away," and gave her to her husband. When the man asked what they should name the child, she said, "Rapunzel. She has made me as bitter as the plant I ate through my pregnancy." Rapunzel was too weak to work the fields, but as soon as she was old enough, her parents put her to work on the loom. They thought that at least she could make some clothes to sell. But Rapunzel's hair got caught in the loom and caused all sorts of problems. They tried cutting her hair, but it was so thick that it took hours to cut. And somehow the hair always grew back overnight. No matter how short they cut it, by morning the hair was 20 meters long and got caught in the loom, indoors and under her parents' feet. Finally, Rapunzel's parents had had enough. One day, when the young girl was trying to pull her hair out of the loom, her parents came in with a strange old man who seemed very interested in her. He looked at her hair and her scalp, and said, "Yes, yes, this will do." "What's happening?" said Rapunzel. But her parents said nothing to her, just gave some money to the man. And before she knew what was happening, Rapunzel and her hair were sitting on a horse leaving town. At first, Rapunzel thought this was going to be a great adventure. "Where are we going?" she asked the old man. "We're going to my tower," he said. "I am a pharmacist, and what's a pharmacist?" The old man clearly did not like being interrupted. "Ahem. A pharmacist helps people who are sick by giving them medicine. Your hair is very special, Rapunzel. We're going to help many people with it. Now, stop talking. I need to concentrate to find a way through the forest." A few hours later, they arrived at an old tower in the woods. "Welcome to your new home," said the pharmacist. Rapunzel couldn't believe it. The tower was perfect. It looked just like something out of a storybook. And best of all, there was finally space for her hair. She could put it on the stairs. And when she moved around the room, the hair didn't get caught on anything. She felt so free. For a few days, Rapunzel was happier than she had ever been. But slowly, she realized that she was not free at all. When she asked to go outside, at first the pharmacist said things like, "Oh, but you must be tired from traveling, and you'll burn in the sun." But finally he made it clear, "Rapunzel, you are not allowed to go outside. This is your home now." Not only that, he also spent a long time looking at her hair, and one day he told her to sit still. And took out some glass bottles. He massaged her scalp, which felt very fun at first, but when she realized she would have to sit there for hours, she grew bored. "What are you doing?" she said. "Quiet. You'll waste the oil." She watched and saw that he was taking the oil from her scalp and putting it into the bottles. "What are you doing that for?" she said. "That's disgusting." "I've told you," he said, cleaning his hands. "Your hair is very special." He got up and carefully put the bottles away. "You must look after your hair," he said. "Brush every inch of it, and eat the healthy food I bring you." And with that, he got up to leave. "Wait," cried Rapunzel. "Where are you going?" "Rapunzel," he said, sounding very annoyed. "I cannot stay here all the time. I must go and sell my products. People will die if I do not help them. You would not want that, would you? Now be a good girl and look after yourself while I'm gone." He picked up his bag, climbed down the stairs, left the tower and locked the door. And so began Rapunzel's new life. Every day, Rapunzel got up and brushed her long hair. In the late morning, the pharmacist came from wherever he lived to massage the oil out of her scalp. Then they had lunch together and he disappeared until the next day. Finally, she found out that he was selling her scalp oil, telling people that it would help them stay young. She didn't understand why that was so important. She was young. And it was very boring. But she didn't like it when the pharmacist shouted at her, so she said nothing. All she could do was read the books in her tower, brush her hair, and eat the boring vegetables the pharmacist brought her. Things continued this way for many years. Rapunzel spent all her time reading about brave heroes with much more interesting lives than her. They wore suits of armor, rode horses and fought with swords. The scalp massages weren't so bad, although the pharmacist did them very quickly now. And she had no idea how much money he made from selling the oil. A few times, Rapunzel tried to open the front door to the tower, but it was locked with some kind of magic. No matter how long she pushed, no matter how hard she hit it, it didn't move an inch. So she gave up and went back to reading. One evening, Rapunzel was so bored that she took a pair of scissors from the drawer and cut off all her hair. It took hours to do, and she looked very silly afterwards, but it felt wonderful not to have all that heavy hair pulling on her scalp. In the morning, her hair had grown back again. So she took the cut-off hair and made it into dolls in the shape of different animals. When the pharmacist saw what she had done, he was very angry. "Your scalp oil is only so special because of your long hair," he shouted. "One day, you might cut it off and it won't grow back. No. This simply won't do." And he took the pair of scissors and all the sharp objects from the tower, so that the girl had nothing to cut her hair with. Well, Rapunzel wasn't going to stop just like that. For the first time in her life, she'd had a taste of true power, and it tasted good. So instead of cutting her hair with scissors, she chewed off her hair. It took most of the day, and her teeth hurt afterwards, but she bit and chewed until her hair was very short. And then she made more animal dolls. But a few hours later, she started to feel sick, and it wasn't just from chewing the hair. What if the pharmacist got really angry and sent her to live with her parents again? So she hid the dolls, and the next day her hair was long again. Her chewing continued for several weeks, and soon all the cupboards were full of hair dolls. Pigs and cows and sheep and fish and all kinds of animals that Rapunzel never got to see in real life. Sometimes, she made dolls of people, usually the brave heroes from her books. She started looking out of the window more in the day, and wondered what would happen if she jumped out. She would die, she supposed, but would it really be that bad? At least she would be closer to the birds and the trees. One day, the pharmacist was looking for a spare bottle, and he opened one of the cupboards. A pile of hair dolls rained down on him and fell onto the floor. "Rapunzel," he cried. "What is the meaning of this?" Rapunzel said nothing, so the pharmacist opened another cupboard, and more hair dolls fell out. And he went round opening all the cupboards until all the hair had come out. "You must have cut your hair 50 times, he said, his hands shaking. "How did you do it?" "I chewed it off," said Rapunzel sweetly. "You what?" He came and opened her mouth, looking at her teeth as if she was a horse. "You nasty, nasty girl." He walked around the tower angrily, and then he saw one of the dolls of the heroes and stopped. He picked up the doll and looked at it for a while. Rapunzel wondered if he was going to burn them. She thought that she should be sad at the idea, but actually she didn't care. The dolls made her think of her hair, and she was tired of them. "Fine then," said the pharmacist calmly. "If you are going to act like a child, then I will treat you like a child." He left, taking all the hair dolls with him. That night, Rapunzel did not sleep. She was beginning to realize that her life was awful. She had always wished she could go outside and see the world. But she had never felt so trapped. So in the early hours of the morning, Rapunzel tried to escape. She tied her hair to the bed and went to climb out the window. But as she looked, she felt sick. What if she fell? And where would she go? She wasn't ready for this. No, she would try tomorrow instead. Perhaps there was a book in the tower on climbing. The next morning, Rapunzel woke up to a voice calling from below the tower. "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel thought she must be dreaming. But then the voice called again. "I said, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel went and looked out the window. There, standing at the bottom of the tower, was one of the heroes from her books. He wore a suit of armor, and had a beautiful white horse and a sword. "Who are you?" said Rapunzel. "Why, I am a brave hero," said the man. "I heard that there was a beautiful girl with magical hair trapped in a tower. That a horrible old man put her there. And I thought, well, that's not all right at all, is it? So I found the horrible old man, I took my sword to his throat and I said, 'You nasty thing. Where is the tower? Where have you trapped that poor girl? Tell me or I will kill you. And now I have come here to save you. So you just need to let down your hair, and I will climb up and save you.'" Rapunzel couldn't believe it. The stories were real. This hero had come to save her. She took her hair and started throwing it out of the window. "Amazing, amazing," she said. "I was going to escape by myself, but this is much better. because you can help me climb down and you'll know where to go afterwards." And the man didn't listen to her, but watched the hare as it came down from the tower. As soon as it was close enough to touch, he took it and sniffed it. Ah, wonderful! Then he started to climb. He pulled on Rapunzel's scalp and it hurt a lot, but she didn't care. Soon, she would be free, but as the man climbed, Rapunzel started to notice things. The man was not as young as she thought. And the horse wasn't really white. It looked like parts of it had been painted white, the armor looked much cheaper close up, and the sword was made of wood. As the man got nearer and nearer, Rapunzel realized that this was another trap. This was no young hero, but an old man in cheap armor with a wooden sword. The pharmacist had said he was going to treat her like a child. Hadn't he? When she was just a child, her parents had sold her to him. He must have decided to sell her again. Well, Rapunzel wouldn't have that. She grabbed her hair and started to chew on it. "Beautiful girl," said the man, "what are you doing?" "Nothing," Rapunzel said through her hair, and continued chewing. When the hero realized what she was doing, he started to climb much faster. He panted and wheezed, and he was only a meter away from her window. "Now, young girl, listen, chewing on your hair is a very bad habit. I think you should stop right away." Rapunzel chewed like a starving man with a piece of bread. She chewed like the angriest animal. She chewed so hard her entire face hurt. Just as the man's hand was reaching up to the edge of the window, snap! The last piece of Rapunzel's hair broke off, and the man fell. Ah! Crack! Rapunzel ran away from the window and hid in the corner of her room. For the first time in days, she felt the lightness of her head without hair pulling on it. She also heard the horrible quiet of the forest, with no voice to break it. It took hours for Rapunzel to feel brave enough to go and look. Down there, on the ground, lay a broken old doll. That man had never been a hero, and now he was dead. The horse had run away. Rapunzel was alone again. She shut the curtains and climbed into bed, and she did not know how long she slept. Every time she woke up, she remembered what she had done, and sleep was the only safe place to go. She began to wonder where the pharmacist was, why he hadn't come to shout at her for killing the man. Had he left her to starve to death? Finally, Rapunzel got up. While she slept, her hair had grown and grown. It filled up almost the entire tower, and it was rough from not being brushed, so she had to fight to walk over to the window. She looked out and saw that the body was gone. This time, Rapunzel didn't think twice. She tied her hair to the bed, opened the window and climbed down. It was awful, and many times she almost fell. But nothing could be worse than living in that tower and starving to death. When she reached the ground, she couldn't believe how soft the grass felt beneath her feet. She was used to the hard wooden floor of the tower, and it felt like she was walking on clouds. She tried to bite her hair, but it wouldn't break, it was too rough. She chewed and chewed, until one of her teeth fell out. Ow, she cried. So she pulled the hair out of the tower. Of course, it was still tied to the bed, so the bed came all the way up to the window. She pulled and pulled, and finally managed to break off the leg of the bed. The rest of her hair flew down, and she quickly untied it from the piece of wood and ran into the forest. Rapunzel ran all day, although her long hair slowed her down. It started to rain, so she found a cave that was mostly dry and hid there. She pulled her hair into the cave. But it was so long that there wasn't enough space for it all, and she had to leave half of it outside in the forest. Rapunzel started to cry. She had dreamed many times of leaving the tower. But it was never like this. She was alone, starving, and her long hair would make it easy for the pharmacist to find her. But it was not the pharmacist who found her. It was a young man with very long nails. In fact, anybody who saw those nails would find them hard to believe. They were a meter long and as sharp as swords. Why this young man was walking alone in the rain, it was hard to tell. As soon as he came close to the cave, Rapunzel shouted, "Don't come any closer." The man jumped. "Oh," he said. "I was just wondering what this was. Is this your hair?" Rapunzel looked closely at him. It was hard to see in the darkness, but there was moonlight shining on his nails. "Such long nails, I warn you," she said. "I've killed someone before." "So have I," said the man, and he didn't sound happy about it. "I don't want to hurt you. I was just looking for somewhere dry to sit." "Then go home." I don't have a home." "Oh." Rapunzel thought about it for a moment. She had never read about homeless men with long nails in the woods. She had no idea if this was safe or not. But she was tired, and she didn't want to be alone again. "Then come sit here for a while." "Thank you." The man came and sat a few meters away from Rapunzel. He tried to find a place where there was no hair, but the hair was everywhere, so she said, "Just use it as a cushion," and he did. For a while, they sat in silence and watched the rain. This was the first time Rapunzel had spent time with a man who didn't treat her like a child. "I'm Berock," he said, when the rain had grown quieter. "I'm Rapunzel. I suppose you don't have a home to go back to, either." "I chose to leave," she said. "They threw me out." "For having long nails?" "Well, yes." And Berock told Rapunzel his story. He had grown up in a village not far from the forest, and from a young age his nails had always grown long and sharp. Whenever someone cut them, they simply grew back overnight. When he tried to play with the other children, he hurt them by accident. No matter what his parents covered the nails with, they cut through it, so in the end they kept him inside and told him to make little toys out of wood. But when I grew old enough, they wanted me to marry. I think they were tired of having me in the house breaking things. They found a woman who would marry me without meeting me, but after the wedding, when she saw my nails, she started to cry. I understood. I told her we didn't have to sleep together, we didn't even have to live together. But she wanted a child so much. Everything after that was an accident. I tried to move away from her, but she ran after me. That all happened. We slept together. Then, in the morning I woke up and he went quiet, and by now the rain had stopped. Only the sound of birds came from outside. Rapunzel saw a pain in Berock's eyes, a pain she knew from those nights of endless sleep in the tower. "I can tell you my story," she said. And Berock said, "Millimeter." They shared their pain until night turned to morning, and at some point Rapunzel took Berock into her arms and held him. He was scared that he might cut her, but she wasn't afraid of his nails. At some point they fell asleep, and Rapunzel woke up thirsty. She got up, and her hair got caught on Berock's nails. There was a beautiful sheen, and the nails cut through her hair like it was nothing. The sound woke Berock up, and when he saw what he'd done, he held his head and said, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, don't be," said Rapunzel, holding him tight. "Your nails can cut my hair better than any scissors ever could. Would you cut the rest for me, please?" Berock looked at his nails for a long time, and then said, "If you trust me, then yes." The rest of Rapunzel and Berock's story is long, like a head of hair. They lived in a tower that was hidden deep in the forest. The tower was old and tall, covered in ivy and moss. Inside, it was cozy and warm, with a small fireplace and shelves filled with books and trinkets. Every morning, Rapunzel would brush her long, golden hair. It flowed down from the top of the tower to the ground below. Birds would often come and sit on her windowsill, singing songs and keeping her company. Berock would watch, amazed by her beauty and kindness. One day, a fierce storm blew through the forest. The wind howled, and the rain poured down. The tower swayed, but it stood strong. Rapunzel and Berock huddled together, comforting each other with stories and songs. As the storm raged outside, Berock promised to protect Rapunzel no matter what. When the storm finally passed, the forest was different. Trees had fallen, and the path to the tower was blocked. Rapunzel and Berock knew they had to be brave. They decided to explore the forest together, to find a new way out. They packed a small bag with food and water and set off. The forest was thick and dark, but they were not afraid. They held hands and walked carefully, listening to the sounds of nature around them. They saw beautiful flowers, strange animals, and even a sparkling stream where they stopped to rest and drink. One afternoon, they came across a village. The villagers were kind and welcomed them with open arms. They told Rapunzel and Berock stories of their own, sharing food and laughter. Rapunzel used her long hair to help the villagers in many ways. She helped them pull water from the well and gather fruit from the tallest trees. The villagers were grateful and called her their golden friend. Berock found a place in the village too. He used his sharp nails to carve wood and made beautiful furniture. He made a special chair for Rapunzel, decorated with flowers and vines. They were happy in the village, surrounded by friends and nature. As time passed, Rapunzel and Berock grew even closer. They built a small cottage near the village, where they could live and work together. The cottage was cozy, with a garden full of colorful flowers, and a little swing hanging from a tree. Rapunzel's hair continued to grow, but she didn't mind. She loved using it to help others and to make her home beautiful. Berock and Rapunzel's love for each other grew stronger each day. They knew that no matter what challenges came their way, they would face them together. Their story became a legend in the village, told to children and travelers who passed through. It was a story of love, trust, and the magic that happens when two hearts find each other. And so, the story of Rapunzel and Berock goes on, long and beautiful like Rapunzel's golden hair. They lived happily ever after, surrounded by friends and the beauty of the forest. Their love was a shining light, a reminder that trust and kindness can make even the longest journey a joyful adventure. That's never been cut, or a plant that gets plenty of water and sunlight. It ends happily, in a little wooden house with a warm fire. Every day, Berock wakes up before Rapunzel and quietly cuts her hair. He does this with great care, making sure each strand is perfect. Rapunzel loves how gentle and kind Berock is. She feels safe and loved when he is near. Their little wooden house is cozy and warm. It sits in a clearing in the forest, surrounded by tall trees and bright flowers. The house has a small garden where they grow vegetables and herbs. There is a fireplace inside that keeps them warm during the cold nights. In the mornings, after cutting Rapunzel's hair, Berock makes breakfast. He cooks eggs, toast, and sometimes pancakes. Rapunzel loves to wake up to the smell of breakfast. They eat together at a small wooden table, talking and laughing about their dreams and plans for the day. After breakfast, they work together in the garden. Berock pulls weeds and waters the plants, while Rapunzel picks the right vegetables. They enjoy working side by side, feeling the sun on their faces and the soil between their fingers. In the afternoons, they often go for long walks in the forest. They explore new paths and discover hidden spots filled with wildflowers and streams. Sometimes they find berries and nuts, which they bring back to their house. They love to sit by the stream and listen to the water flow, feeling peaceful and happy. As evening falls, they return to their cozy home. Rapunzel cooks a delicious dinner, using the vegetables from their garden. They sit by the fire, enjoying their meal and each other's company. After dinner, they read books or tell stories, sharing their thoughts and dreams. On weekends, they have special adventures. They might visit the village nearby, where they are always welcome. The villagers greet them with smiles and warm words. Rapunzel and Berock help the villagers with their tasks, using their skills to make life easier for everyone. The villagers appreciate their help and often invite them to join in festivals and celebrations. One winter, the snow fell thick and fast. The forest was blanketed in white, and the air was crisp and cold. Berock and Rapunzel spent their days indoors, keeping warm by the fire. They made hot cocoa and told each other stories about their childhoods. The snow made their little house look like a picture from a fairy tale. As the seasons changed, their love grew even stronger. They faced challenges together, supporting each other through tough times. When the rains came and their garden flooded, they worked together to save their plants. When the summer heat was too strong, they found ways to keep cool and make sure their garden stayed healthy. Rapunzel and Berock knew that their love was special. It was like a strong tree with deep roots, or a river that flows steadily, no matter what. They were grateful for each other. and the life they had built together. Their story was one of love, trust, and everyday joys. It was a reminder that happiness comes from the simple things: a warm fire, a cozy home, and the love of a true friend. Every day, they woke up grateful for the life they shared, knowing that as long as they were together, they could face anything. And so, their story continues, as beautiful and endless as Rapunzel's hair. They live happily ever after, in their little wooden house, with love and laughter filling their days. Hair with his nails. When she wakes up, her hair is short, and she never has to feel it pulling on her scalp. And every night, Rapunzel carefully takes the cut-off hair and wraps it around Berock's nails. She does this with great care, making sure each piece is secure. Their days are filled with love and routine. In the morning, after cutting Rapunzel's hair, Berock makes breakfast. He loves to cook eggs and toast, sometimes adding fresh berries from their garden. They sit together at their small wooden table, eating and talking about their plans for the day. After breakfast, they head outside to their garden. They have rows of vegetables and herbs, growing strong under the sun. Rapunzel waters the plants while Berock tends to the soil. They enjoy working together, feeling the warm sun on their backs and the cool earth beneath their feet. When the garden work is done, they often go for a walk in the forest. The forest is full of tall trees, bright flowers, and singing birds. They walk hand in hand, exploring new paths and enjoying the beauty around them. Sometimes they find a spot to sit and rest, listening to the sounds of nature and feeling at peace. In the afternoons, they return home to their cozy house. Rapunzel likes to bake bread, filling the house with a delicious smell. Berock uses his time to carve wood, making beautiful decorations and furniture for their home. They enjoy their quiet time together, each working on their own projects but always close by. As the sun sets, they prepare dinner together. They use fresh vegetables from their garden and spices from their kitchen. They love to make hearty soups and stews, perfect for a cozy evening meal. After dinner, they sit by the fire, talking and laughing about their day. At night, before bed, Rapunzel carefully wraps the cut-off hair around Berock's nails. She takes her time, making sure each strand is secure. It's their special routine, a way to show their love and care for each other. When she's done, they snuggle close under their warm blankets, feeling happy and content. One day, a traveler came to their house. He was tired and hungry, having wandered through the forest for days. Rapunzel and Berock welcomed him in, offering food and a place to rest. The traveler was grateful, telling them stories of his adventures and sharing news from distant lands. The traveler noticed how happy and in love Rapunzel and Berock were. He asked them about their life and their routines. They shared their story, telling him about the haircutting and their peaceful days in the forest. The traveler was amazed by their simple but beautiful life. Before he left, the traveler gave them a gift. It was a small, golden locket. He told them it was a symbol of their love and a reminder of their kindness. Rapunzel and Berock thanked him, feeling touched by his words and his gift. As the seasons changed, Rapunzel and Berock continued their happy life. They face challenges together, always supporting and loving each other. When the winter snow fell, they kept warm by the fire, telling stories and drinking hot cocoa. In the spring, they planted new seeds in their garden, looking forward to the fresh vegetables and herbs. Their love grew stronger with each passing day. They knew they were lucky to have each other and their beautiful life in the forest. They were grateful for the simple joys of their routines, the love they shared, and the peace they felt in their cozy home. And so, their story continues, filled with love, happiness, and the simple routines that bring them joy. They live happily ever after, in their little wooden house, with the warmth of their love keeping them safe and content, so that he cannot hurt her by accident. Together, Rapunzel and Berock make toys for children, using wood and hair. They do not want children of their own, and this will never change. Their toy making brings them great joy. They sit together at their small wooden table, surrounded by tools and materials. Berock carves the wood into shapes of animals, dolls, and tiny houses. Rapunzel uses her hair to add details, like manes for horses, hair for dolls, and fine threads for decorations. The children in the village love the toys. Every month, Rapunzel and Berock visit the village market. They bring their toys in a big basket, smiling as the children run up to see what new toys they have made. The children's eyes light up with excitement, and their laughter fills the air. One little girl, named Lily, becomes their special friend. She loves the toys Rapunzel and Berock make. She often visits their house in the forest, sitting with them as they work. Lily loves to watch Berock carve the wood and see Rapunzel weave her hair into the toys. She learns from them, and soon she starts to make her own toys. Lily's visits bring extra joy to Rapunzel and Berock. They enjoy teaching her and seeing her grow. They feel proud when she shows them a new toy she has made. They laugh together, sharing stories and songs as they work. One day, the village holds a festival. There are games, music, and lots of food. Rapunzel and Berock bring a big basket of toys to give away. The children are thrilled, and the festival is filled with laughter and joy. Rapunzel and Berock dance together, feeling happy and light. In the evenings, their house is filled with warmth. The fireplace crackles, casting a soft glow. Rapunzel and Berock sit close, enjoying the quiet. They talk about their day, sharing their thoughts and dreams. They feel content, knowing they have each other and the simple life they love. As time goes by, their toy making becomes well known. People from other villages come to see their toys and hear their story. Rapunzel and Berock welcome them all, sharing their love and kindness. They teach others how to make toys, spreading joy far and wide. One winter, a heavy snowstorm hits the forest. The snow is deep, and the air is cold. Rapunzel and Berock stay warm inside their cozy house. They spend their days making more toys, preparing for the spring market. They enjoy the peaceful time, feeling grateful for their home and each other. When the snow melts and spring arrives, they are ready. They take their toys to the village, where the children eagerly await them. The joy on the children's faces is the greatest reward for Rapunzel and Berock. They know their simple acts of love bring happiness to many. Rapunzel and Berock's life is filled with love, kindness, and creativity. They choose to live simply, finding joy in their routines and each other's company. They know they do not need children of their own to feel complete. Their love and the happiness they bring to others are enough. Every night, Rapunzel wraps her hair around Berock's nails, making sure he cannot hurt her by accident. It's a symbol of their trust and care for each other. They fall asleep, holding hands, dreaming of the adventures and joys the next day will bring. And so, their story continues, filled with love, laughter, and the simple pleasures of their life together. They live happily ever after, in their little wooden house, with the warmth of their love shining bright. They never could be happy children themselves, but perhaps others can. And so this story will grow and grow for many years, until finally it will meet